We know that no matter how much people will talk about the East attack, none of the justice would happen. But even if the justice would happen, so it won't benefit us. So my father is not going to come back. My father was the manager in the Cinnamon Grand Hotel, so he has to be there. Usually he doesn't work on Sundays morning. He used to go to the church with us, but because he's the manager and because he must stay there, what we did was we went to the night mass. So we went to the Easter mass on the Saturday night, and during the mass I got few notifications, but I couldn't check the phone, saying that there was a blast here and they were sending photos of Shangri-La and everything. And then I was like, okay, there's something like this, and my mother was the main organizer, so she was at front and I couldn't inform her. I tried to contact him, but he didn't answer. So what I told was, Ammi, I didn't mention about Cinnamon Grand. I said there were few bomb blasts in Colombo and in Katuwapitiya. So because she was the main organizer, she went in front and she told the priest that there were few bomb blasts. She said, let's pray for all the souls and let's pray for all the families to bear this up. I didn't feel it didn't feel right. Even if he's in a meeting, he used to answer and say, "Yeah, I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back." He usually don't stay without answering, so it didn't feel right. So as soon as I told that there were a few bomb blasts to the hotels, so my mother got panicked and she was crying. I said, don't worry, it's not the Cinnamon, it's Shangri-La, it's not the Cinnamon. What she did was she called the Taproban restaurant, and the person who answered saying, boss injured, Atta. He was taken to the hospital. Don't worry, everything is under control, you don't need to come. So but my mother said, no, I'm coming, and straight away we rushed. So I knew the place in and out. So as soon as I went in, I rushed to the ETU, and at the ETU there were like a lot of dead bodies covered, and in the ETU he wasn't there. So I even saw few people like they are giving the CPR, and one person died in front of me, and he wasn't there in the ICU, he wasn't there in the surgery, he wasn't there at all. So my mother and my sister, my mother was crying because she was like too emotional. She was crying, and they were planning to go to the General Hospital to search, because we are in a search mission, because he's not answering, and I was telling, no, maybe he's helping someone else, because he's some sort of person like that. I can talk about him for ages. Like, he used to do his night shift and come around at 2 AM in the morning, and he used to secretly switch off Ammi's alarm, and he used to get up before Ammi and do all the preparation so that Ammi just have to cook the thing. So he's some sort of person like that. He's a very, I can't. My mind told me that he's somewhere here, he must be here. Because so before I go to the next hospital, I want to clarify, I want to confirm for myself that he's not here. It's not legal, but what I did was I used to like unwrap all the coverings, and first one it was just flesh, second one there was no head, like us. So I just like unwrapped everything, all the covers, all the gurneys. And one nurse tried to stop me. I said, no, there are just like 3-4 left. I'm a medical student, I can take it. So I went ahead, and he was there. So when I unwrapped it, he was there. He was warm. Like I told to resuscitate, like do something. I screamed, I fainted. I remember I woke up, and my mother heard my voice, and they came there, We were taken to a doctor's lounge and they were comforting us. By that time, they have taken the body to the police mortuary because it was a crime scene. And there, they haven't labeled him that we recognize the body. So I went with my uncle to the mortuary, and we both have to like check from maybe 100 bodies, like to identify him. His number was, I remember it was 72, and there's a tag number 72, and I couldn't accept. It was like so depressing. After that, my mother like took over all the responsibilities of Tati, and she's like playing 2 roles now, like doing everything. Like there's nothing to complain. I know he's there because if not for his strength, we won't be able to survive this. Because we thought we couldn't survive this. He's like such an amazing person. Imagine if I do something wrong. What a typical parent would do is they would scold and they would make sure that that person won't repeat it again. But what he does is he used to come and say sorry, so that we feel guilty, and that's it. So he's a total different person, like very caring. He doesn't want any shouting at all. He's like, because everyone, like when he's at home, everyone knows that he's at home, because it's like all the laughing because he's too funny and all. Half of my friends are Muslim, so I know them. So I've been doing Interact, and half of them are Muslims. I've been in school, I've been in university, so I know that there are good people. I know that because as soon as I got to know this message, the first person who called me was a Muslim. But I must tell you, the Father Prasad and the team played a big role in helping us to heal. Because I remember I sending him a photo, WhatsApp photo, of the person who was the suicide at Cinnamon Grand. And I said, I hate him. I just said, I hate him. So I was very angry. I was very angry, and I couldn't even look at that photo, because that person took my father, like the most beloved father, the person who, my role model actually. And what his reply was, he sent me a photo. I might have the chat still. He sent me a photo of the Pope like giving his pardon to the person who shoot him. He sent me that. So I was like shocked for a second, saying, okay. So he was like, in our religion, you have to, because it's not our place to judge. So let's leave it to God. Being a Muslim is not the problem here. There are plenty of good people. But because of 1 or 2, like the image they got, the things what they faced was like very bad. So I know, because I have friends, I know how much things they went through. But that's also because of those extreme people. It should stop. Like, no, what I believe is, like, maybe you can call yourself religious, like maybe you can do everything it's in the scripts or anything, but as at the end, what matters is like how you treat people, how you love people. If you can't be that, there's no place in heaven. I know in Sri Lanka, especially in Sri Lanka, you can't expect justice. We know that no matter how much people will talk about the East attack, none of the justice would happen. But even if the justice would happen, so it won't benefit us. So my father is not going to come back, because one of my friend, I know her very well. She lost both her parents, and she's the only child there. So how can that person say that I did this for a God, by destroying a whole family and everything? I know Tati is there because from the from analyzing the past 2 years, because we have done the impossible sometimes, because we never thought that we can do those things. Even especially Ammi, she got like so much of courage to do it. I know he's in a far better place than this world, than this corrupted world.
My tati loved me a lot. Like, if I said, one day I was studying and I said, like, there was a green apple, so I said, Tati, I really like this. So next day he bought me like 15 or 20 apples, so like that. If I say a little bit that I love, like, he's at any cost he's gonna give it to me. He wanted us to see the world, like he took us everywhere around the world, like for other foreign countries and around Sri Lanka. I miss him a lot. Still, I don't believe and I don't think that he is not with us.
In Sri Lanka's context, you have to work in religious harmony, because there are multi-religious people in this country. You have to be good, you have to do good, and you have to inspire others to do good.
So change must start somewhere. If not, this will happen again, definitely.